Nobody's ever gonna take your place. Yeah, I think we should meet in the middle. I follow you cause you're the light of the day. I need you like you need me, it's so simple. It's so simple.
Welcome back to the Gen X Juggler podcast. I'm so glad you're here. Before I introduce this week's summer replay episode, I want to tell you about something that I know you're going to love. I recently recorded an episode which will be featured in Season 2 with Allison Blood. She's an award-winning registered nutritional therapist and esthetician who specializes globally in helping women manage the negative symptoms of midlife, menopause, and beyond. She has a book which will be released on August 4th, but is available right now on Amazon for pre-order to your Kindle. This book is entitled Have a Magnificent Menopause, a straightforward guide to looking good and feeling great. The price is amazing, and I don't want you to miss out on this pre-order. For $1.34, you can reserve your spot, and on the day of the book's release, August 4th, it will show up in your Kindle. It's currently #1 on Amazon's hot new releases, and that is for good reason. I've linked it in the description. So hurry and reserve your copy of this wonderful resource for women in midlife. And then come back in August and meet Allison when she appears on the podcast. Now let's get to the summer replay. This week's episode in our summer replay series is entitled What the Locusts Have Eaten. My friend Jenn takes us through one of the most difficult times in her life. She shares what she learned about herself during that time and how her faith got her through. As always, this podcast is for entertainment and informational purposes only and should not be considered professional advice in any field, including legal, medical, financial, or mental health. Please consult a qualified professional for advice tailored specifically to you. The views expressed by guests on this podcast are their own and do not necessarily reflect the views of the host and or producers. Today, I have a very special guest, one of my dear friends for the last more than 35 years, 38 years, is
almost
joining us.
40.
That's right. This is Jennifer, and she is joining us today. She kind of brings a conversation from last week full circle whenever I talked about reconnecting with friends that you had lost touch with. That happened with Jenn and I last spring, right about this time last year.
Yep.
We reconnected, and what a blessing that has been. We spent so much time together from the time we were 12 and 13 till after we graduated high school.
All the time. Anytime we could get to each other, we did.
Yes, and we lived 3 or 4 hours away from each other. We met at church camp, so that brought us together. But the cool thing was everyone from my town that was at church camp with me got to know Jennifer, and to know her is to love her. So we all kind of formed this bond.
To know y'all is to love y'all.
Oh, so sweet. She would come and spend weekends at my house, and we would all hang out. All of our friends that got acquainted with her at church camp would hang out, and we just had a lot of fun just watching movies, going cruising, going to McDonald's every single day.
Everything was fun. Pizza Hut and Dumas, they saw us more than they liked to.
They did. And I remember we had a thing for Big Macs one particular summer.
Yeah.
And it was back when we could eat Big Macs and not notice that we did. So we would look every day for $3.21 for each of us, because that is what a Big Mac meal cost.
Oh.
Back then.
Amazing. It's like over $11 now. It's crazy.
Yep, those were the good old days.
Yeah, it was.
We had so much fun back then. And then we lost touch for a little bit after high school graduation. We just kind of drifted. Our lives went in different directions. We moved to different places, and just kind of started our smaller lives with marriage and family.
Well, I picked up a good relationship with alcohol then too.
Yeah, that's true. And I didn't know that. I had no idea.
No, we didn't share that love.
No, we didn't. But we would still about every 10 years or so, we would cross paths and do the how are ya? How's everything? We should get together, and then let 10 more years go by.
Yeah, because we never got together. Yeah, we should get together. Okay, love you too. Bye. And then that was it.
Yep, that's how it went. So then last year you reached out on Facebook, and I was like, oh my goodness, there she is, because I had searched you up, but you weren't easily searchable because of your Facebook name, which is smart, I think.
Yeah, I try to keep things pretty private on there. I don't know why. I just always have.
There's definitely wisdom in that these days. So at first I was just so glad to see you and so glad to reconnect. And then I heard about your life over the past 4 or 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
And I was astonished at what you had lived in that time.
Yeah, it was bumpy, but it's okay. God got me through it. Let's just jump right into it. Let's just go right into the diagnosis. It was July 12th of 2022. I was feeling like crud. You notice I used a clean word.
Yes, thank you. That's good.
You're welcome. I don't use lots of dirty words,
No.
but you know. Anyways, I went to the doctor that morning because I was just going for my annual checkup. I woke up so swollen. My tummy was so big and I felt terrible. I just felt terrible, but I didn't know if it was the hangover from drinking the night before because, every day I drank as much as I could physically handle or what it was, a bug. So I was getting ready to go to the doctor. Oh, you need to lose weight. Oh, your cholesterol is high. Your blood pressure's high. Da 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 da. Well, I get there and they won't take my insurance. So I'm like, oh my God, I'll just do this another day. I'm gonna go home, have a drink, watch some TV. That was my plan. And then at the time, David said, "Nah, I think we're gonna go to the ER today. You look like you don't feel good." So I was like, oh, whatever. And I'm so glad he had me go. I am so thankful that I went because I got the diagnosis that as an alcoholic, you just absolutely do not want to hear. Because number one, it means I'm going to have to quit drinking. Um, he told me I had cirrhosis of the liver, and that was the day that God changed my life.
I can't imagine how it felt to hear that.
Well, for a little bit, I known I was sick for a long time before then. The signs and symptoms were there. My eyes weren't completely yellow, but there was some yellowing to them. I had the swelling around my abdomen. I had pain where my liver was. Would get sick enough at times I couldn't recover. I didn't have any appetite, and yet I was still on the heavy side, and I didn't eat anything. I drank most days. That never stopped. I mean, I was drinking so much. I drank from the time I got home from work to the time I went to bed, and then all day Saturday and all day Sunday. That's all I did. I drank and watched sports. That's it. Nothing else.
So you really had no life going on besides
No,
alcohol at that
none.
time.
Yeah, zero. Drinking was important to me. That's all I wanted to do. But I have, though, my last drink was July 11th, 2022, so I'm almost 3 years sober.
Congratulations.
Thank you, thank you. Whoop, whoop. God is so good. I couldn't do it without him. I did not have any AA meetings. I did not have any support groups. When I got the diagnosis, my whole family was like, "Well, we'll change. We won't drink anything." Well, and that's when I said, "No, no, no. I have to change for me. I don't need you guys to change. Not one thing you do around don't change for me." Because the world isn't going to ban alcohol because Jennifer can't drink it.
That's true, but that is incredible. That is a very unique story to not have any kind of support group and just quit drinking completely on your own.
Oh, I had the ultimate support. I had Jesus Christ, and that is the only reason, the one and only reason that I was able to quit drinking without any other assistance. None. I did not have any withdrawals. I had nothing but, realizing that, okay, I can do this. God made everything better the day He decided that I was through with my love affair with alcohol.
It was a miraculous healing.
Yeah, it was. He took the addiction immediately. Never once wanted to go back. Never, never. I don't want anything to do with it. You know, um, I mean, I got really sick too, to the point that before I got my liver transplant, that I was just like, okay, I'm done. I'm tired. I can't keep fighting. I was blessed. I only had encephalopathy one time, which I know I've told you before. Yeah, it was 2010, and Bill Clinton was president when I had encephalopathy. They would ask me where I was. I'd tell them I was in the hospital, but then they wanted to know which one, and that was just unfair. It really was scary though. I'm blessed to have only done it once, but the ammonia in your brain gets so substantially high that Um, I don't know exactly what happens, but you kinda go cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. I didn't remember how to eat, I didn't remember how to drink, I didn't remember how to walk. Somehow my sweet mama got me to the shower and gave me a shower. She helped me back and forth to the bathroom during those times. And, I'd sit there locked in my mind. I knew I should know the answers to a lot of these questions they were asking me, but I couldn't quite figure it out. So I sit there and bought myself some time. Oh, all right, okay, all right, just give me a minute until I could try to come up with the answer they were looking for.
So how long did that last, the encephalopathy?
3 days.
Oh my
They
goodness.
give you a medication called lactulose, which is the devil. Oh man, the only way to get rid of ammonia is to go poo. And that was not fun. I learned to be a sprinter during that time, and it didn't always help.
Sometimes life gets really real, doesn't it? 3 days not knowing where you exactly are and what's going on, that's a long time.
I just thank God my sweet little mama was there with me the whole time. She did have to leave and go home and check on her house at one time, and the sweet, sweet nurses at Baylor All Saints all knew me so well. I mean, they just took such good care of me that, my mother hand fed me what I would eat. They hand fed me what I would eat. They helped me back and forth to the bathroom. I can't imagine why they wouldn't take that bed alarm off, though, since I couldn't walk. I was going to try. But, they didn't want me flopping out of that bed like a dead fish.
I think that's fair. Them looking out for you on that front was pretty good.
Yeah, they were very, very sweet to me. They were. The kindness of the people on that unit, I'll never be able to repay their kindness. They hold a big old giant piece of my heart.
Oh, that's so sweet. And I know they are awesome people who are willing to do that work every day, day in and day out to take care of people who are in the
Mhm.
same boat
Yep.
that you were in.
And it went beyond caring. Like before my transplant, they told me they said walk, 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 walk. You want to make sure you're walking, even on days that I felt just terrible because I've had insomnia my whole life, but right before my transplant, it was even worse. When I couldn't sleep, I couldn't sleep. It was nothing to see me walk in the halls at 2, 3 in the morning. They're like, "Oh, hey, Jen." I'm like, "Hey," making my laps, walking, 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 which praise God that they had me do that because after I had the transplant, it paid off.
So let's get to the part where you got your transplant because that's a scary time. You're in the hospital, you're sick, and you don't know if the thing that will make you better is ever going to come.
Oh, yeah, I went through several months of having my tummy drained. They would drain 8, 9 liters of fluid off of my tummy. And then I went into the hospital with septic pneumonia, and the fluid moved from my tummy to the pleural space around my lungs. And so at that point, when I got the call for my transplant, I was in the hospital for a week, out for 2 or 3 days, in for a week, out for 2 or 3 days, just back and forth because they were draining my lung every other day, draining 2 to 3 liters of fluid off because if not, I would suffocate. I was in end-stage liver failure, and
That's hard to even
it
fathom.
was scary. I mean, the amount of anxiety when you can't breathe and you can't get that good breath of oxygen, that was terrifying. One time, oh my gosh, one time I got in trouble by the ER because I did decide that I didn't want to wake everybody else in my house sleeping up and I wanted my mama to sleep. I just need a drain on my lung. I'm gonna run to the ER. Well, my blood pressure was 80 over 45.
Oh my goodness. That's super low.
But it was one of those times where you're not really thinking clear and you don't want to disturb everybody else and inconvenience everybody else because I hated that. I hated upsetting everybody else's life over this thing that I was going through that was my choice.
Oh, I understand that you felt that way, but I know they didn't mind a bit helping you out when you needed it.
And it was so embarrassing too. I hid it for a long time. I didn't want anybody to know until God said, "You know what? Stop. This is where you're going to give me the glory for the healing that I'm bringing your way." And so after that, I sat there and I sang his praises. God helped me quit drinking. God helped, he is the reason that I got to the point where I am right now. I get that call for the liver. Krista called me and I knew it was her. I knew that I was getting the call for a liver and I was so excited. I answered, and it was like, "Hello?" She said, "I'll never forget." She said, "Jennifer, we have a liver for you." I was alone in that hospital. Nobody was there with me. My mom was moving Christian from Lubbock to Bowie. David was in Bowie taking care of things he needed to take care of. And so immediately I start crying and breaking down and praising Jesus for the healing that is to come. And then after that, I immediately text everybody, call everybody, "Hey, I'm getting a liver. I'm getting a liver," because they said you need to let everybody know right now because this is going to move fast. Within an hour, I was on the operating table.
Wow. And you're all alone.
Yeah, and when the surgeon came in, she said, "This could work or it could fail. If it fails, you will die within hours. We'll work to try to find you another liver within those hours, but you could pass away within hours, or this could work." And so I'm signing saying, "Okay, let's do this, God. I know that you're here to take care of me because you brought me this far. You didn't bring me this far to let me die." And, God is such a gracious God that I knew that He wasn't going to let me down.
Were you scared at all?
Terrified. But I also had a very calm sense of peace. I remember joking with the anesthesiologist right as he was gonna put me to sleep. I was like, about the funny juice that he was fixing to give me, and, he had a Marvel surgical cap on. We were talking about Marvel heroes. So I went in for surgery about 1 o'clock on a Sunday afternoon. I didn't wake up till 5 or 6 on a Monday because they couldn't get me closed up the night before. They kept me open because of the swelling. At that time, I was skin and bones. I weighed nothing. There was nothing to me, and I received a liver of a 6'1", 250-pound man. So his liver was a little bit bigger than me, and so they finally got me closed up Monday night. They extubated me. My family was there. And then I stayed one more night in ICU. The next night they had me in a regular room, and then on Tuesday, regular room. Wednesday, I was walking. Yeah, God is good. I just remember laying there after my surgery. I was like, I can't believe God just did this for me. And I cried. I cried. I cried so much. I had so much for survivor's guilt because I had chosen to basically try to destroy my life, and God had decided to grant the healing that I begged for so that I could see my grandchildren grow up, so that I could be a mom to my children, a better mom than I could have ever been when I wasn't sober.
I think that point you just made is worth emphasizing. It doesn't matter if the problems in our lives that we face are caused by our actions or not. I think we can say God doesn't want to help me because I messed this up. This was all me. But that could not be further from the
Mhm.
truth. That's what grace is. And that's what God
Yes.
does. It only requires a turning point. It doesn't require not having ever made a mistake.
Yep, exactly. And I knew because of the peace that I felt and the faith that I had and it was almost instantaneous when he took away that demon of alcoholism. The 180 that I did looking to God because I knew that that's where my healing lied. Just I knew that he was going to show me the grace and he was going to bring forth that healing and that I was going to have a story to tell, but I was going to have a story to give 100% glory to Jesus Christ for the amazing things that he has done in my life. And, it didn't end with that. It's because as soon as I got home, we're going, trucking along, healing's happening. And then about 6 weeks after my transplant, I got just a little piece more devastating news. Um, I had cancer. I had non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, which was brought on by an Epstein-Barr virus, viral load so incredibly high that my body couldn't fight it. It kind of woke up a sleeping giant, which was a result of being so immunocompromised, which is a result of having a new liver. So it kind of dominoed.
I can't imagine coming through all of that and then ending up with a new diagnosis that is also a life-threatening diagnosis. That's almost too much for most people to handle.
It was, but I was like, "Oh man," said, "God, I gotta be mad at you for just give me 5 minutes. I'm gonna be mad at you." And I was mad at him for about a couple hours. It didn't last long because I knew with which my peace and my happiness lied. I knew that it was all because of God, all of Him and none of me, and I have everything because of Him. He said, "Okay, let's fight this one." I said, "Okay." And it was a cancer that only 2% of transplant patients ever get. But it didn't get to my bone marrow. And 4 treatments later, and I still had my hair, which was growing back nice and full because I was nourished now instead of malnourished. Um, and it's been in remission for 2 years now, almost.
That's just another
A
praise.
year and a half.
Another praise under your belt.
Yep.
That's awesome.
100%, 100%.
That is incredible. And you mentioned the improvement in relationships in your life since coming through all of that.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, well, and even my whole life is full and it's rich and I have hobbies. I go do things, I get out of the house, I go hang out with Twinkies, aka you. I go, do things with my friends. I go see my daughter all the time. She and I are like best friends now. We had a mother-daughter relationship, but now we have a bond that is indestructible. I'm close with my son. Christian and I talk all the time. I mean, we just everything about my life is richer and it's greater and it's so much better without alcoholism and it's so much better because of God and the things that He has done to restore what the locusts have eaten.
Mm-hmm. I love that. I remember when we first reconnected and I picked you up at your mama's
Mhm.
house and your mom said that exact
Yep.
quote, "The Lord will restore what the locusts have eaten."
Mhm.
And it just gave me
Yes.
chills because that's so true in your life and your story.
Yes. Oh, yes. And things still aren't easy. They're not easy by any means because having a transplant is a marathon. It's not a sprint. I thought it was a sprint at first, but I have learned and God teaches me the patience and He teaches me that His timing is perfect and that His will is perfect. Everything about His plans for my life, if I just listen to Him and just follow what He desires for me, uh, everything falls into place. And I am a happy, well rounded, Jesus loving diagnostician, just mama, friend, daughter, wife. Well, gonna be wife someday. I am just, my whole life is better because of Him. And you know what? I would do it all again.
Now that is saying something.
From diagnosis to transplant to cancer therapy, every single piece of it I would do again because you know what? What I go through and being able to give God the glory for this and being able to have the peace that God meant for me to have because of this is something that, is a testimony that could help somebody else someday, somewhere down the road. That, you know what? It's okay to be an alcoholic. Tell the world you're an alcoholic. It's fine. I'll scream it from the rooftop because we do recover. And you know why we recover? Because of God's grace.
That's right. And you are just a walking
Yep.
testimony. Jennifer is very big on education. She's a public school diagnostician. She started in special ed and loves special ed with her whole heart. And during your illness, you were working on your second master's degree, even through that.
Oh, yeah. I was, and I remember thinking about while I was sick when I was completing my second master's degree, Jesus, please let me live long enough to use it. Let me just use it for a little bit. Can we compromise that I'm healed long enough to work as a diagnostician for 1 year? Just I I didn't know for sure that just because I completed it, I would get to use it. I didn't even know if I'd live long enough to complete it.
That says something too, that we sometimes will ask God for the bare minimum of what we hope to get, and then He gives us so much
Yes.
more, you know?
Yep. Because I am working for I worked for this school previously for 8 years. I'm back at a school that feels like home for me as a diagnostician instead of a teacher this time. I have a second job that I do executive functioning coaching and do their assessments, and I absolutely love both of them. I'm a worker bee, and God knows I feel best and I'm happiest when I'm working, when I'm helping others. And you know what? The more people I work with and I work around, the more those doors open for this testimony, the more they open that people can see, like, oh man, you went from alcoholic to normal to, well, I've never been accused of being normal.
We don't want that. I would never want you to be normal.
No, it's not happening. But I'm a successful professional um, woman, and because of God's strength and His grace, I'm living the dream. What I wanted to do since I was a little bitty, I was able to teach, and then now I'm able to diagnose those learning disabilities. I mean, I just can't tell you how happy that makes me and how fulfilled my life is. Just when I think God has topped my cup off, He lets me take a drink and He fills it right back up.
That is my favorite thing in the world to hear. You know that I've said it to you off,
Yep.
like just between the two of us. I've said, like, I
Mhm.
feel so bad that I wasn't there when you were going through all of these things, that we had drifted. I'm so glad we're together now and that we get to do things like when you do have to go in the hospital for a little bit, we have an
Mm.
opportunity to have hospital slumber parties and stuff. I get to be there
Yeah,
now,
those
but
are so fun. I would have hid it from you.
the alcoholism,
I would have hid that, and I would have done everything I could to hide how bad it was until God had me open up. But there would have been a lot of times, I would try to hide. But, God had me go through this also by myself because He knew that I needed to learn to depend on Him, to count on Him, not another human, not another person, because I'd counted on people most of my life, a lot of whom let me down, but a lot of whom didn't. But He needed to be the center of my attention, and He needed for me to learn how to rely on Him.
so now you have a renewed relationship with God, a new close relationship with God,
Mhm.
a renewed relationship with your kids, with all of your family, getting back in touch with old
Yep.
friends. What do you hope for the future now that you know you have one?
Oh gosh. I wanna do I just want to I can't wait to be a Nona. I can't wait to be a grandma. That's just gonna make my heart smile. You know, I just wanna travel. There are things I wanna do. I wanna go to the Holy Land. I wanna go to Europe. I want to give my testimony to as many people as I possibly can. Um, I just, whatever God wants me to do, I just want to make a difference and I just want to jump and dance around and praise the name of Jesus Christ. And I want others to know how amazing He is. And whatever I need to do to spread that, I will.
And you have definitely been doing that, and you are a blessing to me, and you're a blessing to so many. Thank you for coming on the Gen X Juggler podcast today and sharing your story. I just appreciate it a lot.
Thank you for having me.
That does it for this episode of the Gen X Juggler podcast. Jennifer's story is such a great reminder for all of us that as long as we have breath in our lungs and we look to the one who gives us that breath, we have hope, regardless of our circumstances. I look forward to our next time together. Until then, friend, let's keep on juggling.
Gonna take your place. Yeah, I think we should meet in the middle. I follow you 'cause you're the light of the day. I need you like you need me, it's so simple.